Okay, let's go to the Chitas. We're holding Parsha Shoftim in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse number 18. Shoftim, Shoftim, Titlacha Bechol Sherecha. You shall put appointed judges and sheriffs in all your gates. Asher Hashem Elokecha Neisnach, which God your God is giving to you, L'Shvatecha, to your tribes. Yishaftas Mishpat Tzedek, and they will judge your people a fair judgment. She says, Shoftim as the Yodim, Shoftim are judges, Shoftim are those who subject the people so that they follow the judge's order. Is to sometimes slap a guy, to imprison a guy, using sticks and whips, etc. So you have to have those who make sure that the law, the rule is followed. B'chol sharecha, Rashi says, b'chol ir v'ir, in every single city. The shvatecha is it for your tribes. This refers back to titalacha. You must appoint a judge and sheriff for yourself, for your tribes, in all your cities of God, which God has given you. The shvatecha, to your tribes, melamid, shemeshivin, the yonim. This teaches us that judges must be appointed for every tribe, because as it's brought down that every tribe they had different customs. The old tribes didn't do everything the same way, and therefore you needed to have judges and leaders for each and every tribe. Shaftoan, now she says, and they should judge the people, appoint judges that are experts and righteous, so they judge fairly. Verse 19, Leisata Mishpat, you're not allowed to pervert justice. Leisaki Panim, you're not allowed to show any favoritism. Leisikach Sheikha, you're not allowed to take any bribery. Because bribery dims the eyes of the wise, and perverts the words of the righteous. Rashi says, "Lisate mishpat kimashpay," literally, "Lisakir panim." You're not allowed to show partiality, even when the litigants presenting their arguments. This is a warning to a judge not to be gentle to one side and harsh to the other, or have one stand and the other one sit. When a litigant sees a judge showing, because when the other side sees a judge showing that he respects his opponent, it prevents him from successfully presenting his argument. You're not allowed to take any kind of a bribe. What's the Torah to tell us that? That's the point. Even if you're gonna even if they do a just, you're gonna do this in a just way. You cannot take sheikhad even to do the right thing. Now she says, if for once he accepts a bribe from him, it's impossible they will be able to do anything against him, seeking points in his favor, and that's the way it goes. But sometimes a person gives you something, automatically you have an automatic kind of a connection to the person. Divit tzadikim, Rashi says, Dvaram tzdakim means proper words, meaning the law of truth. Tzedek tirdef. You should run after justice. Justice you shall pursue. The mantichi, so you shall live. Yirash Tesaret, you'll inherit the land. Asher Hashem Elokecha Neisla, which God is given to you. Rashi says, what is the meaning? The Gemara tells us that you should seek a high calibrated court. That the Gemara gives examples of certain courts of great Tanoim, that's the court you should run after, a court that is greater. Don't look for a lenient court. The mantiche ve'erashta, they merit. The appointing of upright judges is sufficient to keep Israel alive and settle in their land. Verse 21, do not plant to yourself a defiled tree, deified tree, or any tree near the altar of God in the base of Mikdash. You're not allowed any trees on the Temple Mount. Which you're going to make for you. Now she says this is stated to make one liable from the time he is planted, meaning that even if he does not worship it, he violates a positive commandment for planting a tree on the Temple Mount. This is a warning against planting any tree or building a house on the Temple Mount besides the Beis Hamikdash. You're not allowed to erect for yourself a single stone altar. This is again the Bama. Which God hates. She says you must not erect yourself a pedestal, meaning a monument made of one stone, to offer a sacrifice upon it, even for the sake of heaven. Who actually commanded us to make an altar of stones, or an altar on the earth. But this type of altar he hates, since it's using it became a practice among the Canaanites. So it's not exactly a bomb, it's a bunch of stones. And although such a monument was beloved to him at the times of the patriarchs, now he hates it since Canaanites uses an adulterated rites. Chapter 17, verse 1 listens, Allah bring a sacrifice to God, a bull, a sheep, or goat that had acquired a defect, called davar ra, any improper pronouncement by its slaughter. For God is considered abomination. Rashi says, what does this mean? It's a pronouncement. This Rashi says called davar ra, any bad thing, but it's called a davar word. This is a warning him against making a sacrifice contemptible through a bad utterance. Dibur ra, meaning articulating your attention while slaughtering them to eat them outside the prescribed time. Pigel. These are further teaching expounded in Shchitas Kachim, the Gemara. If you found amongst you in one of your cities, which God has given to you, Isha, man or a woman, which will do evil. In the eyes of God, the Avid Bris, to transgress his covenant. What is that? So Rashi says that informs you that he's serving idols. This guy went out and he's serving other gods. And he bows down to them, whether it's to the sun, to the moon, all the celestials of the earth, of the heaven. Which I didn't command you, and I just said, la'avdam, to serve. Good, it's been told to you, you'll hear about it. But the Rashta hated. You'll check this out. And it's true. It is really true. That this abomination was done amongst the Jewish people. As she says, the testimony of both witnesses precisely corresponds. And as you know, we took away the two witnesses, we separated them. And we tested out each one separately. And you find out that they're actually saying both the same testimony. So their testimony is truth. It says, Yishahu, and then you should bring out that man, or Yisha, he or that woman. I should also have which have done this terrible thing. El Sharecha, to your gates. It's Yisha, the man or the woman. Skaltim Vavonim, you should stone such a person, Vames, and he shall die. Now she says you must bring him out to the gates. What do you mean to the gates? He who transgress El Sharecha as to the gate of the court is mistaken, for we have learned that the El Sharecha refers to the gate where he served idols. Or maybe it's indeed refers to the gate where he's judged. Sharecha stated below and Sharecha stated above. Not Sharecha stated above refers to the gate that he serves idols. So to Sharecha stated below here refers to a gate where one served idols. And thus the correct translation L'Ravecha is to your cities. Al Pi Shnayim Eidim. In the mouth of two witnesses, Shleisha Eidim are three witnesses. Yumas Hamez, the person will die. La Yumas Al Pi Eidechad, he won't die in the mouth of one witness. If the testimony is confirmed with only two witnesses, why does the Torah say three? Two is enough. So why does it say three? So only to compare 2 to 3 to 2. Just like 2 form one unity, unit testimony, so to 3 forms one testimony. You can't say, it doesn't mean that you have three, you have a better testimony. You can have three, you can have 100. And they all can be disqualified if that's can be all zoymim, as Rashi can say. Zoymim means that you can say all three were not there. Thus, they cannot be charged with conspiracy to testify falsely until all of them are proven to be conspiracy. That's the laws of Edom Zoymim, meaning that there's a regular testimony, there's regular witness you can say that that's not true, or there's a witness that you say that he wasn't there. Edom Zoymim in the Torah will get to that law. If the witness's hands are on him at first to put him to death, and the rest of the people go after. You have to eradicate evil from your midst. Verse number 80. If the solution to a matter in judgment eludes you, to distinguish between dam ledam, between blood and blood, din ledin, between one law and another law, between one lesion and another lesion. It's a dispute between in your gates. Come to Alisa Lamachar, you'll stand up, you'll go to the place which God, your God, has chosen. She says Kiyifla means over here, the term Kiyifla denotes the separation of distance. Thus here the phrase means that the matter is separate and hidden from you. It's Hifla, it's something you don't understand. Beidam Ladan, these are the laws of purity. Very difficult, the laws of a woman's purity and impurity, to know the difference between blood that is ritually defiled, that makes a person tummy, and blood that doesn't make a person tummy. Beidin ladin, between the case which accuses the innocent and the case in which one is guilty. Benega lenega, between a lesion, a mataras, which makes somebody tar and one shows their tummy. Dive dibes means that the sages of the city disagree on the matter. They can't come to agreement. The rabbis are arguing. One because such a subject ritually defiled, another kills it ritually undefiled, and we find, one accuses us innocent, the one says it's guilty. What do? You come to Valisa. So then you get up and you go to the Beis Hamikdash. And here we learn that the temple is higher than all other places. And to come to the Beis Hamikdash, to Beis Nagadol, you should approach the Kayanim, the Leviim, and you come to the court, which will be in those days, the Sanhedrin, which was in the Beis Hamikdash. You give the lachas about a mishra, and they will tell you the solution of this matter. So Kahanim, because Kahanim is the Urim V'Tumim. Ultimately, when they had a question they couldn't answer, they went to the Urim V'Tumim, they went to the Kohen, and the Kohen Gadol gave him the answer. So Kahanim Sheyotz V'Shevet Levi, doesn't Levi is not in that situation. A Kahanim that come out of the Shevet Levi, so they would go to the Kohen Gadol, and he ultimately responded. If he cannot compare other judges that preceded him, he must listen to him. You can't say, you know what, the High Court of Moshe's times, I'll go to. I don't want to go to the High Court of today's times. Can't do that. The one who's the rabbis of your time, that's what the rabbis are. You don't have judges only office in your time. You can't say, I will only go to a high court of another generation. When the high court tells you to do something, then you have to follow it. From the place you went to the base of the high court, Sanhedrin. We went up to Yerushalayim, you went to the Sanhedrin, and the Sanhedrin told you to do something, you follow it. And then you should listen whatever they tell you to do. According to the Torah, which they tell you, what they show you to do, the judgment that they tell you, you should not move away from what they tell you. You mean to smell to the right or to the left. What does the Rashi? Rashi says, what do you mean to the right, to the left? Even if they tell you that the right is the left and the left is the right, and certainly if he tells you that the right is right and the left is the left, that's it. You follow what the Sanhedrin tells you to do. If a person acts intentionally to not obeying the priest that stands before God, or to the court, and that person should be put to death. You should eliminate evil from the Jewish people. And the entire people will listen and they will fear, and they won't act anymore mal. Now she says, from here we learn that we postpone his execution until the festival, when all are assembled, and we execute a person when more people are there, so more people can learn the laws of the Torah, what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And that completes the Chumash for today. We now go to the Tanya of the day. And we are holding we started yesterday, the 9th letter of the Alter Rebbe. And this is again a letter of tzedakah, of charity. And the Alter Rebbe is begging people to give charity. Fundraising letter, as they call it. Therefore, my beloved ones, my brethren, direct your hearts to these words which are expressed briefly. Hashem, with the help of God, we come one day, you'll come to here, and I'll talk to you face to face. How then these times, approaching the footsteps of Mashiach, are close upon us. The principal service, the principal service of God is the service of charity. As our sage of blessed memory said in the Gemara, Ein Yisrael Negalim, the Jewish people are not redeemed, Ella b'tzedakah. Jewish people were redeemed through charity. That I not bless him, say a sage of blessed memory. Did not say Talmud Torah Shakal connected to Milas Chasadim, that Talmud Torah, that the learning of Torah performance is equivalent to the performance of acts of loving kindness. Mishnah Peah says that Torah is equivalent to all of them, meaning that all mitzvahs previously enumerated in the Mishnah, and these include Gemilas Chasadim, the performance of act of kindness. So here I'm telling you that the most important thing is tzedakah. Every morning in the blessings of the morning, we say the opposite. We say Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, that the learning of Torah is the most important thing. Comes the Alter Rebbe and says that when that was said by the sages, Ela b'yameim, it was meant in their days. Talmud Torah Haya'ika Avodah. That's what I'm calling them. The principle of divine service was the study of Torah. And therefore, he realized there was a certain period of Jewish history that there was great Talmidei Chachamim Gdolim. There were great sages walking around the city. There were great sages walking around, Tanoim and Amoraim, sages of the Mishnah, sages of the Gemara. There were great Talmidei Chachamim walking around. And that was the time period that was needed for the concept of having the Gemara, the Mishnah, and the Gemara brought established. And they needed to have great Tanoim and great Amoraim. And that was the importance of that era. And therefore, there were great sages, Tanoim Amoraim. But however, in the times when they're approaching, the footsteps of Mashiach is close upon us. That we're living in times that the sukkah, we'll soon say what a sukkah, the sukkah of David, Haneifalas, we say it every on sukkahs, that the Eibusha should bring back the sukkah of David that has fallen. Ad lebechinas raglayim v'akvayim, to the level of the feet and the heel. We call the ikras and the Mashiach, the heels of Galus. To the level of Asiyah, till it fell down, till the level of action. So, meaning in the Sfira, that's called Malchus, of Atzila is the Shechina that vested itself in the lower world of Bria. Yitzir and Asiyah, also known as Sukkah of David, for David as king of Israel was a Merkava of Tumalchus of the will of Atzil. David Melech Yisrael. So David was the king of Israel. He was symbolic of Malchus. So what happened? Malchus has fallen. Malchus, the kingship of God, has fallen to very low levels. To the lowest has fallen to the ground. So we're trying to rebuild Sfiras HaMalchus. We're trying to rebuild the attribute of Malchus. We're trying to rebuild the sukkah, the concept of Torah. The Torah has built up, has become humble in times of the Tanoim and Amroim. The Torah has been an unbelievable, brought up to unbelievable levels, and now the Torah has fell. And that'll dafka remember. So therefore, how is it possible today to cleave to God when we're not such great sages anymore? We don't have the same level of great knowledge. That's the reality. We're on the level of the foot. So how do we cleave to God? And to turn the darkness of the world into light. It must be done just because since the whole concept has fallen to the level of action. So therefore, that's why right now we have to only do the level of action. Since the whole thing has fallen to the level of action, then that's why that now it's all about the level of action. Shimai Tzedakah, which is the act of charity. But why is charity unique amongst all other many commandments that involves action? You can do other, put on tefillin. So why not tefillin? Why dafka? Why specifically that it has to be done through tzedakah? You do it l'maskilim. It's note to the scholarly when they say action with reference to divinity, it means when you say the concept of action, it means to be able to bring the spirituality to the lowest depths. To one who has nothing of his own. That's the whole concept of bringing down something to the lowest level. Amongst the currents of the divine influence that descend into various worlds, there are those that are called thought, speech, the flow of vitality to the very lowest level, to the world of Asiyah, where godliness is not manifest at all. It's called action. That's what we call, even in spirituality, we have Machshava, Dibur, Maisa. Right? The three garments, Machshava, Dibur, Maisa. So what's the lowest level? The lowest level is action. So you're going to come down to what means action, because it doesn't have anything. You're bringing godliness to a level, that a place that it doesn't, that there's no, that you have to give it. It doesn't have anything of itself. It needs your hashpa. He's a makabel, and you're a total mashpia. You're a total giver. So the act of giving tzedakah in this world, that's why tzedakah, the acts of giving tzedakah, helping somebody with money, thus corresponds to the spiritual level of Asiyah. Just like Asiyah Ruchni is the spiritual Asiyah is a place where it doesn't have of its own. So that's why out of all the mitzvahs, there's no mitzvah. Putting on tefillin is not helping somebody it doesn't have of its own. That's a mitzvah that doesn't have tefillin can be in machshava and dibur, but in the and it is actually you do to yourself. But to give somebody that doesn't have, that is a concept of the true concept of, even in the spiritual levels of the meaning of the world of Asiyah. The lesla megamar klum. That's the expression in the Zohar. The lesla megamar klum has nothing of its own. That's a true concept of action. something that you are the giver and the other entity is the receiver. You have that in the spiritual levels too. Malchus is less lamiga maklum. Out of all the spheres of Malchus is only what it receives. That's why in Kabbalah, spheres of Malchus, the attribute of Malchus, receives on everybody. And that's why it's the ultimate giver. Because it receives everything from everybody and it gives to the next level, totally everything. So it's the ultimate giver and it's the ultimate receiver. I mean, it's the ultimate receiver and it's the ultimate giver. We have Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Kibel Teira B'Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu received the ultimate receiver. Didn't have nothing. The Eibishter gave him everything. Umasara. And he gave it over. The ultimate giver, the ultimate receiver, the ultimate giver. And that's the concept. So ultimately, the concept of action, helping another person, is that's the greatest concept in the aspect of Asiyah. So the Tanoim and Amoraim, they were the greatest givers of intellect. Imagine we wouldn't have the Mishnah and the Gemara. If we wouldn't have these great sages who worked out every halach in the Torah and broke it down and argued with it and brought it to ultimately penned it, and unbelievable. Till today, we're breaking our heads on these teachings to try to comprehend these teachings. They have already brought it down already. They have already established it, halacha and havana and concepts of Torah and the teachings. It's already been all done. So therefore, our avodah is avodah sasiyah. Our generation is avodah sasiyah. Everything has been already given to us in the concept of intellect. We can add 100%, but that's not our avodah. Whoever sacrifices impulse and respect to giving tzedakah, and opens his hand and his heart, that's the way. That is the way. That's what the Rebbe asked. When the Rebbe was asked, what do we need to do now? And he said, acts of goodness and kindness. He didn't say we need to go and learn. Acts of goodness and kindness. We need to know how to do acts of goodness and kindness. Maybe we need to learn. But that's really the avodah today, is acts of goodness and kindness. That's going to transform the darkness of the world. You're going to convert the darkness into the light of God. God, blessed be you, who in the times of the footsteps of Mashiach are close upon us, dwells over us in a state of action. And amidst them, through our acts of kindness, tzedakah, we behold to see eye to eye, Yeshuv Hashem Tzion, when God returns to Zion. That's to the Yerushalayim, which at that time, the Mashiach will come, the physical eye, though yet retaining its physicality, will behold godliness, and it's beheld by the supernal eye. Thus, within the physicality of the world of Asiyah, there will be revealed the level of certainty in the spiritual perception, which is called vision. A level surpasses the furthest attainment of intellect, as the Moshe Rabbeinu keeps on telling the Jews, I know you have the concept of understanding, you need the concept of sight. That's what Eden prayed until today, that in Hashem, we say it in our davening every day, may we see with our eyes, just like we see physicality with our eyes, may we in Hashem see spirituality, not only with our seichel, and it's good to those who have understanding, but every person will be able to see it with their eyes. And that completes the Tanya of the day. Today is the 30th day of the month. It's Chodesh, the first day of this Chodesh. And the chapters of the day are 140 to 144. You do those 5 chapters of Tilim, you do the Chitas of the day. The Hayom Yom of the day is the Mittel Rebbe. At first used to say, brief my mother. The Rebbe was a walking genius. See this? For example, the Maimah Zecharav Tuvcha and its amplification, published in the Siddur, was said in 6 sections, at somewhat greater length than the printed version. That's the Yom Yom. And I wish you all a good Chodesh, a Chodesh Tov. In Mitzvah tomorrow, we'll learn at 8:15. We will do the Chitas at 8:15. I wish you all a Chodesh Tov, a Chodesh Arachmim. Wish you all merit to Siva Machsima Teva. She written, signed, Lashana Teva Masukah for beautiful, happy, and healthy. God bless you all. Mitzvah, we'll see you.